Hello, friends. Welcome to Trivia Over Tea, the quiz show podcast where we drink tea and play trivia. I am your host, Matthew Cook, and this is going to be a bit of an interesting episode today. So, for some context, if I were keeping to my promise of releasing an episode every other week, and that means that yesterday morning, today is Sunday night, as we're recording this, it means that yesterday morning I would have done an episode with two contestants and Carter. However, that didn't happen because I didn't write any questions. Yeah. And so what I've decided to do instead is we're going to try this out, a little mini episode. And what I've done is I've written a few questions, and we just have one person on the Zoom call with me. And the person that I've conned into being on with me this evening is my brother, Mason. So Mason, how are you today? And how ominous did my text sound this afternoon when it came in?
I was doing good. For context, I was standing in line at the Glendale Galleria of Five Guys when I got the text. I looked down. He's like, "By the way, do you have 20-ish minutes at 9 o'clock tonight to jump on a Zoom call?" And I'm like, yes, I do. What? And beforehand, I was rethinking every single life choice I had made up to that moment,
Including being my brother.
yes, that
First,
especially that.
first and foremost, number one.
But it's like, oh geez, where exactly did I go astray? To what could possibly be the subject of this call? But yeah, I'm quite satisfied with the actual subject of the call, which is 10 fantastic questions, or at least I assume they're fantastic. They will
Well,
definitely be 10
thank you.
questions.
They will be they will be 10 questions. The quality of questions we can judge afterward. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize for the fact that I look like I'm in a hostage video right now, or like a really low quality hostage video. Oh wow, and my
I'll say he can make it
brightness
lower
just went
quality.
way down.
I'll
Um,
say,
we normally record these episodes in the morning, and what I do is I just lift the blinds in my room and I turn off the light, and so I get all that natural light. Makes for a really nice, filter, whatever. But right now it's 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and it is dark.
yeah.
So, and the light in my room is behind me, and I didn't want to bother to try to set up a good studio. So here we
Hey,
are.
I have an absolutely great
Yeah, Mason looks great.
yeah, I mean,
I do
hey,
not.
say this is the secret of having like 80,000 Zoom backgrounds just saved on your computer, is to pull out beauties like this just on a whim. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, great. It's great.
Well done, Mason. I'm glad you were more prepared for this episode that you didn't know that you were going to be on,
Of
um,
course.
than I was. Alrighty. Well, shall we get to it?
Yeah, we will.
So
We absolutely should.
so how this is going to go today is I'm going to have 10 questions, and they're all going to be worth 10 points. And I'm going to ask the questions, and you're going to answer the questions. They're not multiple choice, but
Okay.
I think you can handle that. And then at the end, we'll try to remember how many you got right, and we'll give you a final score. So, Mason, are you ready?
I'm ready for round one of one.
Round one of one. Here we go.
Yes.
Question one.
Oh.
On August 30th, 1862, a second, much larger battle was fought at what site where the Confederates had won the year before?
Uh that would indeed be Manassas or Bull Run.
That is correct. The Confederates won the second battle, as they did the first battle. The first battle of Bull Run or Manassas was the first major battle of the Civil War.
Yeah, it was one of the battles that was one of the big preludes to Lee's first invasion of the North.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it didn't
Antietam
go
was
great. Neither did the other two.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
never got very far. Question two. On August 30th, 1905, what Hall of Fame center fielder made his major league debut by hitting a double in his first at bat, which would be the first of his 4,189 hits?
Wait, what position was it?
Center field,
And what year was it?
1905.
Oh, I am blanking hard.
The
Why?
big clue is the 4,189 hits.
I know. I know that that's the big clue. Um. Oh, is that on? No, he came later. He came much later. Oh, geez. Um. Oh.
Anything? Question
Wagner.
answered. No. Ty Cobb.
Oh, I thought Ty Cobb, and I'm like, no, that's too obvious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, that was my thought. I was like, no, that seems a bit too obvious. I also thought it was he debuted earlier. I thought he debuted in like 1901 or something.
No,
Really?
no,
Was
he
that
he
late?
was
Okay.
1905. Wagner was a little earlier, I think, maybe.
Okay.
Wagner also didn't have nearly as many hits. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ty Cobb was the hit king until Pete Rose broke his record in 1985.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the big contributors to both of them was the fact that they played in the dead ball era.
Mhm.
And so, because there weren't as many home runs, there'd be a lot more like outfield and infield play when it came to like the actual baseball,
Good
which
old
is why if you
fashioned.
look really far back, the home run totals go way down in like a very specific period from like 1890 something to about the 1920s when the MLB actually changed sort of what the ball was made of
Mhm.
because yeah, and that and also they started focusing more on power hitters because that wasn't really a priority at that point in time.
Babe Ruth,
Yeah, yeah, that when he started
namely.
merge along with various others.
Yeah. Yeah, Ty Cobb. Question three.
Should have gotten that.
August 30th, 1979 marks the first time in recorded history that a comet hit what astronomical object?
What year was it?
1979.
The moon.
The sun. Um,
I'm like, this isn't a planet because you would have said planet, but I'm like, so I lost the 50-50. Oh
yeah.
well.
Yeah, this is the sun. It was estimated that when the comet hit the sun, the energy that was released was about 1,000 times the amount of energy used in the United States in a year, but
Oh,
in 1979 terms.
I'll say there we go. That say if we ever need a new power source, we just have that comet hit the sun repeatedly.
Yeah, just throw a bunch of ice at the sun, and
Yeah,
that'll do it. That'll do
uh, that ought to solve everyone's problems.
it. Question four: what U.S. president nominated Thurgood Marshall to the U.S. Supreme Court?
Marshall was nominated in um 60. He would because remember he was still a lawyer when Brown was argued.
Mhm.
So obviously his tenure in the court would have been after that. That was I want to say 54 when that case was actually argued.
That sounds right.
So um I want to say was LBJ.
That's correct. Yeah, he was nominated in 1967 to
Yeah, okay.
replace Tom C. Clark. I thought about asking because I think it's his birthday. Is that what I? No, wait, where did I? Oh, he was confirmed by the Senate on this on August 30th. That's in 1967. That's why I wrote that question.
Mm,
But I was trying to figure out what question to write, and I was like,
yeah.
first black justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Of course, that's too easy for you. And so I thought, oh well, maybe I'll ask like whom he replaced. And then it was, do you know whom he
So,
replaced?
Clark,
Yes.
you just said it,
Oh, did I?
but
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, well,
did you
but
know it before I said it?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not. I
Yeah.
am not good with Supreme Court justices.
Frankly, I had never heard of him. If it had like, I was hoping that it was going to be somebody like Hugo Black or
Yeah,
a
like someone
little bit
actually somewhat notable.
with some clout and some name recognition. Ugh. But Tom C. Clark, who
Mm.
knows? Anyway, there you go. Question five: the French play La Dame aux Carmelias by Alexander Dumas Fils inspired Giuseppe Verdi to write which of his operas?
What was the French title?
La Dame aux Camélias, which means the woman of the camellias.
Say incredible translation skills there, Matthew.
Thank you.
The woman of the camellias. Um, I have to think because there are quite a few Verdi operas that focus a lot on a woman.
Mhm.
It's not the right cycle for. I mean, he also didn't do those. It's not that because I'm trying to think of what
What is that?
opera.
What are you thinking?
My mind went to a completely different cycle of plays for very
Oh,
different
okay.
operas. I'm trying to think of what Verdi opera would originally have that kind of a name in the play for it,
Hmm.
because I assume that the opera actually has a very different name.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Well,
obviously
yeah,
something. Yeah,
yeah.
obviously it wouldn't be something like Rigoletto because you know he. Yeah,
No,
no, no.
I'll give you that. It's not Rigoletto.
Yeah, I figured because I'm trying to think what would be like the Lucia.
Not written by Verdi.
Yeah, that's also fair.
That's
um,
Donizetti. I'll
yeah,
give you
that
one
that
more chance.
um,
You got to think what takes place in Paris because it's French, right? Well, I mean, the
oh, it's
play is
that
French.
opera.
The play is
I know
French.
the opera. I can see the opera.
Of course, this one's in Italian, but it takes
I
place in Paris.
I I know the answer. I
Uh-huh.
I can see the answer.
If you know the answer, you should say the answer.
Here's the problem. I can't think of the name of the opera. It's got that scene where where the father's just appealing to the titular character not to marry his son or something
Uh-huh.
like
Yep. Yep.
like
Yep.
I could
Yep.
see the
That's
opera.
the
I
one.
just I cannot think of its name.
What does the main
Um
character die of?
um die of
Give me soprano deaths for 500.
soprano de oh god, it's some illness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like leprosy or syphilis or something.
No. No.
Oh, oh,
No. No. It's tuberculosis.
oh, right. Yeah, it's the one I didn't get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Consumption.
I mean, granted, a lot of people died of leprosy and syphilis back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't like I was that unfounded. But
No.
I can
No.
see the opera.
Yeah.
I
Eh, the
Avita,
that's not an opera, Mason. That's a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber about
or
Eddie
like,
Perón.
but it's like something along those names. It's like the name is somewhat similar to that. I remember, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Um, so the main role, the character, the main character is Violetta.
Oh,
Um, yeah, based on the life of Marie Duplessis, a Parisian courtesan who died of tuberculosis when she was just 23. Any, do you know it?
nah, I the
Okay.
name just to say the name and I'll know it immediately.
La Traviata.
Oh, I knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The big one.
the big one. It's the other big one. Yeah.
Libiamo. Anyway, no more, there are no more opera questions, I
I
promise.
know. Like I've seen the big scenes of
Yeah.
that opera before. Not the whole thing straight through, but I've definitely seen like one of the big things in music history class. Shout outs to a professor um prof- what is his face? Oh, dude, cut this out of the
Oh
YouTube
no.
video.
Oh no.
uh, Professor Kasanik.
Uh-huh.
Professor Kasanik. Um,
It's real great, Mason. You've
Trust me,
only
my mind went
graduated like
blank. My
3 months
mind
ago.
ran out of ideas, similar to how his head ran out of hair. But anyway,
Okay, I'm definitely cutting that.
no. He trust me. We make bald jokes about him all the time.
Okay.
Great guy. But Kasanik, he showed us uh decent. It was like part of the music history thing. He showed us like a few scenes from that La Traviata,
It's one of
including
my
the aforementioned aria of the father basically begging
yeah.
her to not marry his son.
Yeah. Well,
That one.
when he sings the aria, I'm pretty sure he's singing it to Alfredo. But he sings this big long duet with Violetta, in which he's like,
Yeah,
"You
that's the
need to
scene.
you need to go. You got to go." Um, and then she dies, and then he feels bad. Um, yeah, Traviata. So it's one of my current obsessions. I'm in my Verdi
Yeah.
era right now.
I mean, you've had a lot of interesting eras opera wise, you know.
Yeah,
So this
but
is
I'm like in my Verdi era. Like I've listened to Trovatore all the way through every day for like the last 6 or 7 days, honestly.
I'm not surprised. I'm frankly not surprised. This is completely in character.
Yeah. So I got to start adding more to my list though. Got to keep going through the Verdi rep
Yeah. I'll say fun little thing you could do is
aspirationally.
just like do like I'm sure there's like a random opera wheel somewhere online where you spin the wheel, it gives you a random opera and you got to listen to it straight through.
Oh, but see, then it might give me one that I don't want to listen to.
Yeah, but Matthew, that where come on, like that's the whole fun of it. Like, you know, like
I'm not that adventurous, Mason. You should know that by now.
I know, I know. It was a thought to kind of spice up your life, you know, give you more musical breadth.
I'm I just stay in my lane, frankly, and I like my lane.
I know you like your
I don't
lane.
feel
You've
the need
made
to
your
put my
opinions on your lane very clear over the past few years.
I don't feel the need to put my blinker on and change lanes. I'm very happy with the lane that I'm in.
I'll say I've gone through a few lane changes over my life, but
Yes, I'm
yeah,
aware.
yeah. But hey, who knows? Who knows?
Okay.
Um,
Anyway, shall we move
yeah.
on
Let's go.
from
Let's continue
Verdi,
to the next
please?
question.
Okay, question 6. Which Australian state is nicknamed the natural state?
The natural state.
Mm-hmm. It's on the
Okay, so
license plate.
immediately one of them comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna knock out a few that it's definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
First off, there's nothing natural about just suburban and dwelling. So Sydney and NSW, sorry, you're out immediately. Queensland, no, just no.
Okay.
Victoria, uh, not really. I feel like Tasmania would have like a better nickname. I feel like they have like a really wild nickname, like something that just kind of is indicative of them as a people. Um, Western Australia, I feel like they would also just not care enough about a large portion of their state. So that leaves the two. And then I feel like South Australians are not quite as focused on that stuff. So I want to say it's NT.
Wow, you really just like laid into every single state
Hey,
and
I've had a lot of
territory.
practice.
You and
I'm an American man. I've had a lot of practice laying into the other states.
I,
So I
I
figured,
I would just like to say that as somebody who spent 120 days in the Commonwealth of Australia in 2018, that I um do not stand for this slander
hey, no,
coming from
I do this out of love
out
for
of no,
my
oh
for the
sure.
Australians. I really do. This is all in good fun, you know.
um for the record, I believe that one of the nicknames of the state of Victoria, because it's on their license plate, on one of their license plate designs, I should say, is the education state
Oh well,
because of all of
that
the
makes sense.
wonderful institutions of higher education,
Such as
like
the University of Melbourne, perhaps.
um, number one university in Australia. Um, correct. Um, yes, New South Wales. I don't know. I don't know what nicknames they have. Queensland nickname is the Sunshine State.
Oh right, I think I've heard that
Yeah.
before.
And yes, we'll just leave that there. I don't know what Western Australia's is. South Australia, I don't know. So the answer, well, actually, and also you forgot to mention the Australian Capital Territory,
Oh well, it's
uh,
not that.
but
That's
it
just a
is not
city.
them. It's actually Tasmania.
Oh, it is. Okay,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it makes sense when you think about it because it's just like a big hill. There's
that's also very true.
a
It's
bunch of
just one
parks.
giant hill that's an
Yeah,
island.
yeah. Um, it's a natural state. It's also
What is the NT's? Does the NT even have a nickname?
probably, I don't know what it is off the top of my
Oh,
head.
because like I was thinking with the NT, like they have like actual people that live like on the interior part of the continent. So I'd figure,
Oh,
they'd
sure.
like really lean into that, you know,
Yeah.
lean into the Alice a little more.
In the red center. Um, yeah.
Oh, not
Yeah.
much.
I
The
don't
top
know.
end seems actually kind of cool as like a place.
Oh yeah, no, next time I'm down there, if I'm down there during the winter, I'd like to go to Darwin. And
Yes,
there's there,
that's the
there's
move.
yeah, and there's a bunch of national parks up there that I want to go to. You don't want to go there between the months of like October and um April.
Why? Can you
Uh,
give any mosquitoes that might inhibit you or something?
well, I don't know about mosquitoes, but it's hot. It's very, very, very hot and humid and stormy, and the
You sure you don't
winters
want to
they're
visit a gator
dicey.
in the summer, Matthew?
No, no. Um, yeah, I will be staying safely on the trail, away from all of the. And they're not gators; they're crocodiles.
Other crocs? Okay.
They're crocodiles. Yeah, and
I
they're
always
they're big.
forget whether it's the gator croc.
Yeah.
Hey, you can. I mean, hey, you've already communed with the gators in Florida, so you might as well talk to their brothers over in Australia
Well, but
while
that
you're at
gator
it.
that gator had his mouth sealed shut, so
I
there
know,
was there was no danger to me.
but
Um,
you did commune with a gator.
I did commune with the gator.
I also communed with that gator. That
Yeah,
gator was chill. I
yeah.
like that gator.
I had a really good caption on my Facebook post about that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but the answer is Tasmania, which is a very beautiful state, and everybody who goes to Australia should go to Tasmania.
Right.
Um, yeah. Question 7. Who? This is a fun fact. Who was the last American man to win a major tennis tournament?
Oh, geez, this is gonna. I've got a bad feeling that this is gonna go deceptively far back. Like,
Yeah.
oh, geez.
Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of deceptively, but this person is most definitely retired from tennis.
All right, so it's not going as far back as my brain immediately went, which was Ash. Like, it's definitely not
Oh
that
no no
far
no no no
back.
no 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 no
I'll say that
no no
that's a
no no no
little
no no
too
no.
too far back. Um,
It's a name that you know, but maybe you haven't thought about this person in a while.
I definitely haven't thought about this person in a while. Um, oh, Eisner
No, no.
is erotic.
Andy Roddick. Yeah,
I That was the other name that came to my head.
yeah. Andy Roddick. His only Grand Slam win was at the U.S. Open in 2003. 20 years
Mm,
ago. Now there are two Americans who are ranked in the top 10 in the world, Taylor Fritz and Francis Tiafoe, and they're competing in the U.S. Open right now. And as I said, it's Sunday night right now, and so like the tournament is actively going on. And so by the
yeah,
time that this episode is released on Wednesday, they will have played at least another match, I think. But
yeah. I
yeah,
will say we do generally on Trivia RT, like compared to a lot of the other sports, we don't have that many tennis questions, frankly.
I don't know that tennis is
I mean, it's not real.
necessarily an area of great knowledge for the two of us.
It's not because we're definitely not the tennis heads in our family. That would be our grandfather. He's a
Yes.
big tennis guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, like I think that there are like I feel like we like in the pipeline there are a couple of tennis questions that I can think of, but like aside from that, I can't really think of like that many
No.
that we've ever written. Also, I don't think we have any that many golf questions. Like we don't have a lot of individual sport stuff.
No. I've written some golf questions. I don't think you've ever written any golf questions.
That's true.
I've probably written a couple of tennis questions, but the answer was probably like Federer or Nadal,
Yeah.
something very recent. Um,
I think there
unless
have been like track questions. I don't think there have been.
yeah,
I think there's been like one figure skating question, and it's like the one thing everyone knows from
yeah.
figure skating. But
Well, and I've written some swimming questions. I had some
yeah,
friends over to my house a
and
couple weeks ago, and
and I
there
think I
was
have written like a single like competitive like Smash slash FGC question.
mhm.
So like our individual stuff when it comes to like individual versus team, like we definitely lean more team, I suppose, in our question writing.
Well, and see, this episode is good not only because we're filling time, but also we're psychoanalyzing our question writing process. and bringing to light some of our shortcomings when it comes to
That's
trivia,
true.
of which there are many. Um,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
frankly, sport. We're I feel like we're doing pretty well on sports
we're
because
doing very well in sports.
we do actually have a lot of sports questions.
That's true.
Unfortunately, most of the people that I have on are not the people who can answer sports questions, but that's not
Yeah,
a big
which is
deal
a
either.
shame because that is I can do a lot of fun sports stuff. It's also a shame that we don't have as many people that can do the esports stuff because that's another big thing I feel like of my knowledge area that I have yet to really
Well, that's
unleash.
I mean, not everybody can be a minor celebrity in the esports world, Mason.
Okay, like that's also very true.
Did you
Very,
get
very true.
did you get recognized at the Glendale Galleria today?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no, I had multiple people kick me off my table. Um,
Oh.
I was in like I sat down at a table trying to like save it for me while I was waiting for my order. I stood up and immediately someone took it. Like
Oh.
frame one, someone just immediately sat down. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. And then it took me, I think, another like 5 minutes to actually get another table.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it wasn't super fun. But hey, I did get a table. I did eat food, so that was nice. But yeah, no, not definitely some improvements I probably could have done, which is not be in the Glendale Galleria food court at like 5:30, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
that was a mistake
that was a huge mistake.
that you should have not made.
Yeah,
So,
no, listeners at home definitely learn from my mistake.
if you wanted to go to Five Guys, there's got to be a standalone Five Guys somewhere around here.
No, not really. Like surprisingly, the only standalone Five Guys that's somewhat close is actually in like Pasadena. It's like in that complex.
And it's easier to go to the Glendale Galleria than it is to go to
Yes,
Pasadena, really?
actually, unironically, it is way easier because
Where is this?
the Pasadena
Oh,
one requires the 134 and the 210, and then I literally don't even have to bother because I could just get on Colorado and just drive to the Galleria like that.
well, you could also just get on Colorado and go to Pasadena. It's in the Lake Avenue. That's
Yeah,
an easy
it's
area to
on Lake.
get around.
Yeah, that one.
I'm looking at it now.
Like it's near that like you've been to that one, but you've at least been by
Well,
that
I've
one.
walked by it. I don't think I've eaten there, but
Well, because no, the two of us have eaten at some of the other restaurants
well,
near it.
yes, but I don't think we've eaten at the Five Guys.
That's true. It is a decent Five Guys. I've been to it before.
Well, good.
Yeah, that was also where I accidentally I haven't told the story I think in a while where I got that I think it was like decently late. I got it like right before they closed and then I accidentally took a wrong turn going back on the freeway and so I accidentally ended up I think it was in what's its face La Cañada Flint Ridge
Oh,
on the freeway. And so I had to quickly course correct, get off of that and then uh it took so long because they're in the paper bag and I ordered the fries. The grease from the fries had soaked into the paper bag. So when I got it and I pulled the bag out of the car, the bottom bag ripped open and basically all my food just fell out. Fortunately, the burger was fine because you know it's wrapped in the tin foil, but
hmm.
the fries were less fine. Um, yeah, they just fell straight on the bottom of the Burkus parking garage. So
Mm.
yeah,
Right.
hey, some days that just happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, life
Some
lesson for everyone
some
on the
days
podcast.
you get kicked out of your table at the Glendale Galleria. Some days your fries fall through the bottom of your bag. You just never know what life's going to throw at you.
Hey, life lessons with Mason.
Yeah. Well, shall I throw question 8 at you?
Yeah, question 8.
Okay.
We still do have 3 more questions,
Yes,
remarkably.
this is taking much longer than I thought it would. Question 8. Country singer Tim McGraw released what 2004 single that deals with the death of his father, Tug?
Oh, live like you were dying.
Very good. I'm very happy that you got that right.
Yeah, no,
So,
our
so
mother listened to that so many times
well, okay, no,
back in the day.
hold on. I'm gonna come to the defense of our mother
Oh, no, no, no.
because I too listened to it and I went
I
through my
listened to
Tim
it too.
McGraw
It's a
era.
good song.
You know, it is a good
I
song.
like Take My Well, I just want to say that the reason I know that is because our mother really, 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 really likes Tim McGraw.
Well, yeah, and
But
I liked Tim
yeah,
McGraw too, and
yeah.
I had that album because
Oh,
I
you
was
oh,
6
okay,
years old. Yeah, I had the
okay,
album, and it was back in the era where you actually had to have the physical CD
that's true.
back in my day. and I
Oh,
played it in my big stereo system on my dresser.
that's
Um,
true.
yeah, that was probably one of the first albums that I had because we
I
used
feel
to
like
listen to
that's
country music in the car all the time.
yeah, absolutely. Because
Good,
our
good
mother
old
also
Southern
big
boys that we are.
uh big Paisley fan as well too. So that was
Yeah, well,
another.
that was
Those
more
were
her.
the
That was more
yeah
her.
those were kind of the two main ones. That and like Alison Krauss.
Oh
Although
yeah, love Allison.
uh yeah, I feel like the albums the two of us owned younger kind of a great insight to our us as people, because Matthew obviously he owned like the Tim McGraw, and I owned like the main album I known was the like the Monkees greatest hits album,
Yeah,
which that one I also played on a stereo in
I
my
had
room.
I had the
It
Martina
is a very good
McBride.
album,
I
but
had the Martina McBride greatest hits, which
mm,
and now all of those are on my like Spotify like
yeah, no.
songs list. And my like songs are all like classic rock and Martina McBride. It's really chaotic.
Yeah, no, and with hey, give it credit. Whitney Houston is also mixed in
And
there.
Whitney Houston, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, Matthew. Compare that to my like songs, which that it's way more chaotic somehow. Like genuinely, it's like that old internet meme of like Bach and Tupac like shaking hands. That's kind of what my like songs are like. Yeah. Also, fun fact: Alison Krauss is the owner of the only song on there that I refuse to put on any of my playlists, but I still like as a song, and that's a Whiskey Lullaby.
Oh, that's a good one. And
It's a great song.
that's a duet
However,
with Brad Paisley.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a great song, beautiful song. However, I
Hmm.
just can't. Sometimes you just can't emotionally deal with that song. It's
Well,
just
it's a little heavy.
it is a smidge heavy.
It's like
And there's
operatic scale drama in
yeah
that
no
song.
it sometimes it just really brings the mood down, and you can't have that. So whenever it comes up, I try to skip it. Like you guys are great, but now's not the. It's rarely the time to have that. It's not sad boy hours. It's
Yeah. Oh,
yeah
but sometimes you need that though. Sometimes you need a sad boy hour, particularly if you're like in the car
yeah.
and you're dealing with rush hour traffic and you're like,
Oh yeah, no.
I just need to feel sad for like 4 minutes.
Although whenever Rush Hour comes on, sometimes I'll have like Da Vinci's Notebook Traffic Jam,
Oh
because
Lord.
that's I'll
Is that
say
on
top
Spotify?
that yes they actually
Okay.
have Bendy's Law is now on Spotify as an album.
Oh Lord. Okay.
So
I need to put Window Washing Cowboy on my like
yes,
songs.
and like liposuction and the joy of pickled
Oh,
okra, the greatest song ever created.
okay. That one's stupid. I'm not putting that one on.
Oh, come on, Matthew. You have to admit, The Joy of Pickled
No,
Okra is the greatest piece of music ever written.
no, no. Not putting that on. Not gonna waste 28 seconds of my life on that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just
But
gonna add that to my album and
yeah.
we'll
Also,
worry
that
about it.
on that album it has a great version of Stuck in the Middle with You.
Yes, I do like that one a lot. I forgot.
Blue Moon
Yeah.
too.
And
It's a good album. It's a really good album.
they have also Call Me on there. And I realized that's where I first heard that song before before I heard the Blondie version.
Hmm.
Um anyway.
Yeah, no, our father
Wow, that's a
had
throwback. I haven't thought
yeah,
about
no.
that in a really
Our
long time.
father really kind of gave us a really weird introduction as far as like the order of when we heard a song from who. Like yeah, also very notable is that thanks to him it accounts for the genuine lack of the Police in Duran Duran from our childhood musical repertoire, you
That's
know.
okay though. I'm not upset about that.
I know, but like I find it very interesting that like of all the groups of him to have like a really big hatred for, it's like Duran Duran for him, and like specifically Duran Duran. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever actually like he's never actually specified the reason for his dislike of the group,
Well, I
which
mean, sometimes you
unironically
don't
makes
need
it
a
a bit
reason.
funnier, but you
Sometimes you
know,
don't need a reason. But I'm sure
I
we're
suppose.
gonna get angry phone calls from mom and dad on
Oh no,
Wednesday after this,
they
saying that
absolutely will.
we've just dragged them through the dirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let's see how many family members we can alienate before
Oh
the
yeah,
end of
no.
this
I
podcast.
say
Um, shall we move on though
yeah. Question 9.
before we get written out of the will?
Yeah.
Um, on August 30th, 1990, what republic of the Russian Federation whose capital is Kazan, declared its sovereignty from the Soviet Union and successfully held an independence referendum in 1992?
That's a Tartarstan.
That's correct. In 1994, they signed a treaty with Russia, keeping it a part of the Russian Federation while being given special status as a republic and maintaining a lot of autonomy. Under the rule of Vladimir Putin, however, Tatarstan's autonomy has all but eroded away.
Yeah, I will say, once there's like a not like dictatorial government in Russia, I would like to go to Kazan because it is a genuine, from what I've heard, it's a genuinely cool city. Because
Said it
as
was
I'm
the
sure you're aware, Matthew, it was the center of the Kazan Khanate, which was one of the big, you know, the one of the so-called steppe hordes. But they were a huge part of. They were one of the kind of successor states of the Golden Horde. After that all fell apart, and so Kazan has a lot of the sort of the successor of like I believe the old Khan Palace is still up there in Kazan, or like
oh,
some version of it, which would be really cool to see. But yeah, it's definitely I feel like once there's like an actual like government that doesn't, that won't like try to destroy the world, I
oh,
would like to. Kazan is definitely up there as sort of places I would really be interested in seeing.
well, maybe by the time we're on Medicare, we can go over there. I'm going to be honest, I hadn't heard of Kazan until about 3 o'clock this afternoon when I wrote
So
that question.
I heard of Kazan because I play Europa Universalis 4.
Good for you.
And yeah, one of the starting countries is the aforementioned Kazan Khanate.
Oh, fun fact. Apparently, it's the most populous city on the Volga River. I know.
Yeah, people think Volgograd, but it's not. It's Kazan.
No. Yeah. Fun. Okay. Last question. Number 10.
Mhm.
What engineer, who was the namesake of a major road in the Hollywood Hills, designed and built the 233-mile-long Los Angeles Aqueduct?
Lancashire.
No. Do you want to try a different street?
Oh, geez. Magnolia?
No. In the
Uh,
hills. What's the one that goes across the Hollywood Hills? On the top, on the ridge. On the top. Winds its way around on the top of the hill. All the way. Way over there.
I know it's way over there. Um, Problem is the main roads I've drove in the Hollywood Hills were the aforementioned Lancashire and Magnolia.
Well,
And
and you
also,
probably
I'm
didn't.
assuming his last name wasn't Empire.
No. Well, and you probably
Burbank?
didn't. No. And you probably
Okay.
didn't know what road you were on because you never know where you are. Um, but any other guesses? You've
It's
definitely heard of
definitely
this.
not. It's not Buena Vista. No, I've got no.
No. Okay. William Mulholland,
Oh,
as in Mulholland.
no. I've heard the name before,
Yeah.
but
Um, yeah.
when was the last time I was in Hollywood? Last time I was in Hollywood. Actually, the last time I was in Hollywood was like, I think like a month ago. I went over
oh,
there for something, but like, I rarely go over to that neck of the woods nowadays.
nobody should ever go to that neck of the woods. I was at the bowl on Tuesday,
Yeah,
and
I'm going to be at the bowl in like a couple weeks. Shout outs to Adam Schoenberg.
oh right, yeah.
I'm gonna be there for world premiere of his new piece, which will be real exciting. Admittedly, I've not availed myself of the bowl as of yet, but
Have you never
it
been?
no, really,
Really?
I haven't.
Oh,
I the only time I've been was like for a like a trip, and that was during and there was like a rehearsal there, but it wasn't during like an actual event at the bowl.
oh.
So
This was my third time to the bowl. So
I've always had something like kind of a yeah, it's just other things going on,
yeah,
and I've never really had time to go to the bowl. You know,
yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's okay. It's ridiculously hard to get to.
yeah,
Pro tip: do. Oh, actually, I was supposed to talk to you about this because I went to Grandma and Grandpa's house today. Mason, don't drive to the bowl. Pro tip:
right.
do not drive to the bowl. What you
Right.
need to do is you need to go online and you need to book a like park and ride shuttle. It's run by the Hollywood Bowl. I took the one from Pasadena here. $7. Took you right there. Took you out. It takes forever to get out of the Hollywood Bowl because they stack you. It's all stacked parking. And last year when I went, fortunately I didn't have to drive, but the car that I was in, we literally waited there for like an hour to get out. It was so horrible. Do not drive to the Hollywood Bowl. Pro tip. So much easier. Just take the bus. This is like the one
Most,
thing in LA
yeah.
that you don't drive to. So,
Let's say because generally speaking, yeah, I will say that's really the only other parking lot I can think of that has any level of stacking from my experience is like the Staples Center parking, like
oh,
garage. And even that, like that doesn't really do what you're describing.
no,
Because
this
that
is this is stacking on a whole like on a it's in a league of its own, literally. Yeah,
yeah,
do not drive to the bowl.
because like the Staples Center only stacks in like very specific circumstances, and they have
Hmm.
like a very specific way. And like most of the parking down there in like the actual garage for it is like, it's like actual parking spaces. So, you know,
I've never parked there during a game, so
I
I'm
have.
gonna
I've been there a
well because
couple
you've
times.
gone. Yeah.
And it's honestly not that bad, frankly. It's actually like, because like it's not like that cheap, but frankly, it is absolutely the way to go if you're driving there,
Hmm.
you know. But like if you can, you probably should just like not like just because like if you take public transit, it
Just don't go.
well,
Just
I
don't
mean,
go.
it's not
Stay
a
home.
bad play.
Stay home. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I
Don't leave
mean,
your house.
because the nice thing is the nice thing about being a fan of the other team of the other basketball team in LA is that after this year, I don't have to deal with it. I can just because there will be a beautiful brand new parking garage all the way out in Inglewood. That
Ah,
yeah, no, I've seen the drawings of that. It's big,
well,
and it's going to be beautiful.
but then you
And
have to get all the way down there. It's
yeah,
kind of a
well,
ways.
that's not that bad though. Oh,
Hmm.
all things considered. Not to mention, I think it's literally. I think they're also like building a station to it as well or
Oh well,
something,
that'll help.
and they're also expanding like the bus routes to it. Like it will be very easy to get to.
Yeah. Well, good. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we've covered LA traffic, and we've covered country music. We've covered um, Giuseppe Verdi. We've covered our lack of individual sports questions on this podcast.
we've psychoanalyzed ourselves multiple times.
Yeah, we've dragged our family through the mud.
I would say, please don't write us out of the will.
Um, yeah, so it's been a chaotic last 40 minutes or so.
Yeah, no.
Um, Mason, let's see. So by my calculations, you got 4 questions right.
Yeah, it should have been better. There were some of these I overthought,
A
frankly.
solid 40 points, but this is good.
I
I'm
would
very
say
happy
40
about
points
this.
for 40 minutes. That's, it's still good content.
Point a minute, and I'm very happy about this because this means that it wasn't a walk in the park for you, which I was hoping that it wouldn't be. And
It wasn't, no. You also caught me at a bit of an off day, so that's my John for
well, I
tonight.
did also spring this on you, and I did not tell you before
That's
you got on the
true.
Zoom call that you would be doing this. So
That's very true.
yeah,
This was all very sudden. I did not have the time to adequately prepare all these sorts of things.
yeah. I didn't give you an interstate highway question though, so you should be very
That's
grateful
true,
for that.
I
Um,
suppose.
didn't even think about
Although
that. I should have done that.
I've improved. I
Huge
have
mistake.
improved on that front,
Well,
you
good.
know?
Yeah, I did give you a road question though, which you got wrong.
Well, I
So,
mean, I also don't drive that. Like,
well, but Mulholland is kind of an iconic road in
I
LA.
suppose, but it's also one that I don't drive at all.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, I think it's best that we end this right now.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's our show for this week, folks. Thank you, Mason, for coming on today. And thanks for writing the music.
Of course.
All 10 questions today were written by me. And we'll be back with our regular episodes next week. Make sure you like and subscribe to this podcast and give us 5 stars, and tell us what you thought about this new bonus format episode. that we will probably possibly do again. We'll see. Um, and yeah, follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at Trivia Over Tea, all that sort of stuff. If you want to make a contribution to this podcast, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/trivia over tea. And tune in next week when we'll probably have a full episode.
Yeah,
Probably.
hopefully.
Possibly. We'll see.
Really hope we have a full episode.
I think so. I think so. I
Yeah,
think so.
I-
By saying it into the microphone, that's sort of committing me to doing it. But we'll see. But anyway, at any rate, we'll see you next week.